That's really the case. I'm just like you. I'm just like you. I'm just like me. You're just like me. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a well, happy Christmas, Harry. Happy Christmas, Ron. With a whatever you want, VV, Omi, Definity, DNA, anything you want. Update video with also a Merry Christmas vibe. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I love you all. Everyone say, "Where's Dashi?" Well, Dashi is currently at my home in Ohio, and I am not in Ohio. So, cheers to everyone that is. We are a White Castle Nation. Cheers. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this off with a story. It's going to be a White Castle story. Now, this is not a Christmas story. This is going to be a love story, a Valentine's Day love story. 30 seconds ago. Yeah, buddy. Okay, hold on. White Castle. Okay. So on 13 February 2019, I say, I get a call from my friend Kara, and I say, yeah, buddy. And all I hear is screaming from the other side. And I'm like, yellow? There's a lot of screaming. And Kara screams something about white male privilege. And our friend, will call him sweet mate, because he was my sweet mate years ago. And something about his uncircumcised little airman. And I was like, guys. And my sweet mate is like, just freaking ask him. And Kara is like, is White Castle considered a date? And I was like, depends. What's the occasion? And she says, Valentine's Day. And I was like, yes, actually. And then my sweet mate's like, see, I freaking told you. And then Kara's like, what? And I mean this with all my heart. The actual fudge are you two talking about? And I said, well, last year when I was dating Ava, I'll go over that story in a minute. Your friend, she said, let's go to White Castle for Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, girl, you getting laid tonight. So we get there, and I'm about to go through the drive-through because I want to go home and smash. But she says, "No, you idiot! I made reservations for us." And I was like, "Reservations for White Castle?" And we went in, and it was heckin' beautiful. If I can quote Jim Carrey in Bruce Almighty, Beautiful. Balloons everywhere, nice tablecloths over the tables, and Kara cut me off. She says, "Oh my God, I can smell your vagina from here." And I said, "See, you get me to answer, and then you don't like the answer. I don't know what to tell you." And my sweet man says, "What Chavez is trying to say is that it's a thoughtful idea. You should be thanking me. I helped rescue Beaner." And then I hear a bark in the background. I was like, "Wait, wait, wait, what? Who's Beaner? I'm blind over here. Give me a description," because it wasn't a video chat. It was just a phone call. And Kara says, like, oh, Beaner is our new rescue chihuahua. And I said, that is so incredibly racist. Where are you guys? And she says, Nebraska. And after this job, I was hoping Sweetmate would take me someplace a little nicer than White Castle, especially considering I shaved my cooter for this. I said, oh, lordy. And my super says, oh, like I wasn't the bait for the last trap we set. Like I didn't shave my little airman for you. So it'd be like two dolphins smacking against each other while we do the cadoodle. Bite me, bitch. And then Beaner barks again. And Kara says, like sucking that awkward turtle you call a peen is any. And I say, okay, my turn to cut her off. I say, as entertaining as it is to hear you guys describe your sex life, you know you can't keep the dog, right? And Kara says, why not? He enjoys car rides and peeing behind dumpsters. He's having a heckin' blast. And I said, and the next time someone shoots at you and hits him instead? Sweetmate said, good point. And Kara says, then I shoot back and take him to a vet. So I say, after your White Castle date tomorrow, head down to Utah and drop him off at Best Friend's Animal Sanctuary. Tell them I sent you. They'll comp you a room and give you a private tour. That stuff still exists, by the way. My sweetmate says, copy. I can do that. And I say, and change his name too. I don't need to get banned there before I visit. So long story short, that is what happened. Let me do a Festivus story. Delectable posts. Okay, yes, here it is. See all the more. So this is from 2013. a story of a few friends building a gingerbread house. And cheers to everyone that is here right now. And again, ask me all that you wish, whether it be about my personal life, about Vivi and Omi, about anything, because I am ready to tell all. So y'all get this bread. So again, 2013. This was a year after I joined the military. But I come back home to visit friends, and after 2 hours of grueling work, it was nearly finished. And the last thing to do is lift the gingerbread house up and icing it to the platter slash tray. And my friend attempts to lift. His name was B. Lau, aka Brian Lau. He's Asian. He lifts it and he crushes it into 1,000 delectable little pieces because he tries to lift it and then, again, crushing it to 1,000 delectable little pieces. Anger rising. 2 hours were wasted. My friend Nicole, she snaps. She's unable to take it. She tackles the Asian Brian Lau. She screams as she pins him down. My friend Brian Lau is small, unable to defend himself, like Gollum in the first Lord of the Rings movie. The Asian is tortured. A white female, aka Nicole, takes a bowl of icing and in slow motion she bitch slaps him with the spreader. White girl goes crazy. White rage. She shovels icing down his throat. I don't know if Asians can get diabetes, but he does now. The rest of us watch in horror. The white devil finishes her work. My friend Brian Lau motionless, and the white girl goes back to normal. This, my friends, is the magic of friendship and gingerbread houses. So those are a couple of stories. I don't need to do that. Have a nice day. Gingerbread house. Okay. Pieces. Okay. So those are just a couple of stories of Christmas time. Actually, I have a few more stories that I put in my screenshots. Yeah. Christmas, Christmas, the boy. Oh, shout out to Eva for saying, I can't believe I pulled the first mint available to the public from the boys, from Dynamite Comics. And I went to go and purchase one because I saw that and I was like, I didn't know the boys #1 is on there. So I go to purchase it and then it's sold out. And I was like, ah, everyone else had the same. Like, I get it. It's Wednesday and the new comics are coming out, and everyone's like, oh, which ones do I get? And this one's going to be really good. It's going to be super collectible down the line. But it's Christmas, and I feel like people should have just not done that and given me the chance to buy a couple of those, but they didn't. So again, a little salty about that. Anyway, Mr. MC1 says, congrats on this amazing purchase. Amazing purchase. It is a little more than an hour until the casinos open back up for overnight trading for Tesla. Shout out to them. This is why I love Vivi and Omi and why nobody seems to get it yet. When people look at crypto, and again, Crypto Rain does a beautiful job in going over why it's really hard in the bear market when your bags keep going down and down and down. But what's worse than that, because again, misery loves company. And when it rains, it pours. What's worse than that is when the bull market starts, Bitcoin goes up, XRP goes up, and Solana and Ethereum and everything else goes up. And your bags still stay down. Again, a lot of what I saw in the Definity project for the last AMA, which I am never going to do again. It's only going to be me asking the questions that I would like to hear as an investor, because everyone else in the Telegram was just like, when marketing, when Moon, when Lambo, when Stonks. And it's just, that's not the questions you need to ask. You need to ask, like, is the company making revenue? Is the company in danger? Are they in the black? Are they in danger of being, bought out? Are they solving a problem? Are they? That there's a lot of things to go over, and a lot of first time crypto investors, even people in the second time, they're just like, hey, things are happening. Maybe they don't understand, and what they do is they just say, like, they sell what's down at the bottom, locking in their losses, and they buy what's up and it's already done like a 5 or 10x, and it's like, dude, And I know they go and they say, like, you know what? I hope Pound of Empire, I saw your buy fees today. Get these gas fees are a low from the holiday. Agreed. Agreed. I actually have to see if I can purchase some DNA because DNA is up a ton today. Um, Let me see what they're at. They're up another 46% today. They're at a $628 million market cap. Granted, it's only $1.4 million in liquidity, but I tried to buy the other day and it just wouldn't let me. But also be advised, guys, it was much higher a few hours ago and now it's down, but it's still up compared to the last. Again, it launched like 2 or 3 days ago, and now it's just like, does that continue to happen? I have no idea. Will it? Yeah, like I said, I have no idea if that's going to continue to happen or not. But I need to go and get some because I need to get some of that Definity. I'll let you all know. Anyway, people go and they kind of sell what's down and they chase what's up. And I was talking to someone the other day or X amount of time ago, and they were just like, they were very old school and they had dabbled in stocks years ago. I don't know if they still do. But again, just old school. The idea of just, you know what? You go to work, you stay at one job for 30 years, you get a pension, and you go in and you have a retirement fund and you put into your 401k. And in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that was the right thing to do. And then it became so obviously we're looking at this now in the past. So we have these rose colored glasses, we have our time goggles on. It's very easy for us to see looking back because hindsight is 2020. But what you should have done was you should have bought more property, taken out a cash, do a cash out, refinance over on your house. You bought another property in the 90s. This way it would have rose to 2007. You sell, but again, at the time in 2006, 2007, you didn't think that the market was ever going to crash. It only went up and at an exorbitant amount. But again, these people are just like, what are you going to do for retirement? And it's like, so these people also believe that I have like no money left, which fair point. Had over $1 million in OMI in 2021. 2022, I still have that. In 2022, we still had a pump up to like 007, 008. Maybe between everything, I had 1.2, 1.3 million. And then now, obviously, the OMI is much, much less than that. It's over 90% down. But they kind of didn't recognize that like I had worked and got more money over the last several years. I bought more OMI. I went over and I said, you know what? I'm going to diversify. I'm going to get into Devi, Definity, Alluvium, Low, DNA, and a bunch of other stuff. And again, these old school people, just like, do you have a 401k? Do you have a retirement plan? And it's like, listen, if you're not in investing and you're 20 years into a job, like, sure, a 401k is fine. You can go in, and if you've been investing in that for 20 years, you've been doing the absolute wrong thing. But, you'll, by the time you're 60, you might have several hundred thousand, you could live off that, whatever. But obviously, as most of us know, especially in crypto, several hundred thousand is kind of nothing. And if it's in like stocks and bonds and stuff that's going to give you like 8 or 9% a year, that is pathetic. Now, obviously, this is not financial advice. I'm not any of your financial advisors unless you are and you're just watching and I just, I consult for you. But either way, when I go and try to explain, here's something that I'm going to have to take a drink for. I'm going to rustle some jimmies. This is not going to be a positive thing that I'm saying. Let's let's just talk with memes real quick. You ever try to send a meme or post a meme to like your parents or your grandparents? They probably don't get it, right? Like they probably don't understand it. Like, oh, what is this? Oh, it's a cute picture, and it's like, okay, they just don't understand. Um, It's the same thing with technology. Again, technology just changes. Like, part of the reason why I this is a long story. I don't think I should go over it right now, especially because I'm already 15 minutes in without answering comments. But I'll say this: there was somebody that I knew, that I know, that their daughter was in this like group chat, and the group chat consisted of people like that were just into this certain type of anime. And obviously, anime, it's like the Charlie Brown Christmas story that's on today. People that are 60 know it, and people that are super young, they see it on TV, they know it. So in anime, you have that type of thing. And there was this person that's in like their late 20s in this group chat with my friend's kid that was like a teenager, and was messaging them like obviously in the group chat, but also privately. And that, for me, that throws up a red flag. It's like, okay, why are you talking to this teenager? Like, not like 19 or 18, but like slightly younger than that. Like, what? Like, why are you doing that? Like, that's a little sus, a little weird. But then you have to think, like, okay, well, this person is like 28. This person is clearly not like a normal person. They, whether it's high functioning autism, whether it, like whatever it is, they are just, they don't understand social norms. Maybe they're from a certain part of the country or a certain part of the world where like that's normal. Like, again, in like girl group chats, they're all around the same age. In guy group chats, it's just like this 30-year-old, this 40-year-old, this married dude. There's the kid of the married dude. There's like it's all ages because it doesn't matter. But when you have that mixed group there, and especially when it's just not a good look, but you have to recognize like, okay, well, the parents are probably in their 60s, and the parents probably like never knew anything other, like they knew of, okay, yeah, you have radio, you have TV, and that's it. And then when they're older and they raise their kid in a internet age, and the parents do not keep up with technology because a lot of old people, they let technology pass them by. It's like, okay, this kid probably just never learned. I can we call like a 28-year-old a kid, but they probably never learned that, oh, hey, you shouldn't do that because that's really freaking weird. Um, Now, obviously, everybody's first thought is like, oh, this dude's like a, you know, take him out because he has an ulterior motive, and very well might have, I don't know. But again, the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of old people don't necessarily, because the world has been the same for a long time. Like every 20 or 30 years, something new would come along, whether it's new music, a new piece of technology. But each like generation had to just deal with like one, maybe two new things. Like if you were born in, let's say, the 40s, your parents or your dad probably fought in World War II. And then again, if you're born in the 40s, you go through the 50s, you go through like the first version of like rock and roll. And then you go through like Frankie Lyman and the teenagers, and your dad is just like, what is this black person doing dancing with all these white women? And then let's say that person has kids in the 60s, and then by the 70s, like, what are these people doing with their long hair and their crazy rock and roll? This doesn't make sense. We grew up with the big bands. And then those people have kids in like the 80s. And then by the 90s, when that happens and the internet comes along, it's like, what are you doing on the internet talking to these like people? You don't know who they are. So again, for the last 80 years, 100 years, however many long years, you have like one new thing for each generation. But then the internet happens, and then people just it just goes crazy. I remember in 2016 when the attempted coup d'etat happened in Turkey, and in the Middle East, they shut off like all communication. It wasn't just Turkey. In Kuwait, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, Al Assad, Al Qaeda, all of these different places. They shut off all this communication, and we had no internet. And finally, I get on the internet like a week later, and I see all of these new things that came out. Like not even just military and world news. I'm talking about like pop culture stuff. And some people might not remember this. My younger ones will. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that meme with the like you're on a date and suddenly they're not saying what you want. So I get my purse and I try to leave, but breadsticks fall out of my purse." For anyone 40 and older, they're like, "What does that mean? Breadsticks fall out of the purse? Like what?" But anyone like 35 and younger are gonna understand, especially if they were on Tumblr. Like, "Oh yeah, I remember that, the meme. Oh, breadsticks falling out of my purse." And then anyone that was glued to the internet, they'll remember the Chewbacca lady. The lady that wore a Chewbacca mask, and she was like, "Urgh," and then she would laugh. And every time she would laugh, the mask would go, "Urgh." And I know you had to be there. You had to watch the video. Just Google or YouTube Chewbacca lady mask, you'll see it. And it was like 5 or 6 days that I was gone, and like two viral memes had happened, and like you missed it. A lot of old people just don't understand. Like Will Smith said it best. He said parents just don't understand. But technology just happens very, very quickly. And what you see here, as if you like, it's the holidays. If you're spending time with older people, and they say like, "Hey, what are you going to do for a 401k?" Like you don't have a job. You haven't had a normal job. Like I haven't had a normal job since like the military. Normal. I haven't had a normal job since well before then. Like well over a decade. A decade ago I was in the military. So like 12, 13 years, whatever it is. But what this is maybe it's concern, maybe it's jealousy, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, those people that say like you need a 401k, job benefits, like that's an imperfect understanding of where value comes from. And the value is not derived from like, again, people say like you work one job for 30 years, like they don't understand that for the past like 10 years, maybe more, maybe less, maybe it's like give or take a couple of years, you don't stay at a job for more than like 6 years because the average raise you get at a job is like 3 or 4%. But if you switch jobs and you go in and you go into another company from one company to another, your average raise is like 20%. And I was like, well, you don't do that. Look at you. You don't know what you're doing. You're at one job 1 year and one job 3 years later, and you have another job a couple years after that. It's like, well, that's how you make more money. And I feel like I'm ranting over here. Give me a second. In 2017, like late 2017, I remember having to move out because I was with a buddy of mine. I was with him for almost a year because I got out of the military in 2016. I moved into his place in 2017. I'm going to college. And at the end of the year, it's like, listen, you've been here for a year, helped you get on your feet. You started a business, you're successful, you're making money. It's time for you to move on. And I was like, you're right. So late 2017, I'm trying to find a place. And I eventually do find one. But in the midst of that, I go and I talk to, at the time, it was a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, listen, you have an extra, you, you have a 2 bedroom, you have couch, you have this, like, I will just live on your couch. I work, I will be out of the house for minimum 16 hours a day. I'll come back to sleep. I will come back when you guys are asleep and I'll be out of the house before you're gone. You will not know that I'm here. Before I had a YouTube channel. And I distinctly remember when the friend thought that I was not listening. I was talking to someone else, but in the military, they teach you to develop your senses, like listen to a conversation while you're talking to someone else, especially in multiple languages, but this is in English. And I remember her saying, like, well, like he gave you like I saw his like bank statements, like he showed me his bank statements, showed me this, like he's got like he's making like thousands of dollars a week. I wasn't really. I was just at the time for high risk lending, my commission checks were maybe like 600 or 800 a week. But because I would put most of that into other deals where they would pay me weekly, I was making a couple thousand a week. And she was like, well, make a couple thousand a week. They could easily afford an apartment, like 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, two bedroom. Why would he go in and pay you guys like 800 or 1,000 like for this? Like, this doesn't make sense. And it's because it's that poor line of thinking where they're just like, well, you could afford so much more. Why would you put this? And it's like, well, if I were to get a two bedroom for 2,200 a month, 2,500 a month, whatever it was at the time, New York is expensive, especially Long Island. It's like I would only be able to put maybe a couple thousand back into the business. But if I offer someone like $800 or $900 a month, then I could put like 3,000 back into the business and I can grow quicker. And again, it's that broke mindset that people have where it's just, I know this is supposed to be a Christmas thing. And I'm going really, really wild over here, but it's the broke mindset versus someone that's dreaming and wanting to build a business. Do not let that go. If you have that mindset of sacrifice and do not let it go. That has served me super well. I know most people are probably here from the last couple years, but there's a couple people that have been here since 2020 when I was in my friend's basement and I was hustling, buying and selling Pokemon cards with the high risk lending business. And obviously, things have progressed in a better way since then. But don't lose that. Don't give up hope. There's always going to be negative people. They could come from trolls online. They can come from strangers. They can come from family, friends. Again, when I was buying Pokemon cards, there were people that were saying, "Dude, you're spending much." Like first off, in 2016, and I'm about to leave for 2017. I'm about to leave the military. People were like, "Chavez, it's hard out there. One, we need you here. You are a great worker. You're a leader. You know what to say. You know how to rally people. Like you are doing." And they tried to manipulate me. Said you are doing a disservice by taking your skills and leaving, as opposed to leading your country. And I said, like, listen, you're probably right, but the military existed and thrived long before me. It's going to be here long after. Like, God forbid, I died somewhere. It would thrive without me. It does not need me. Am I a boon to it? Absolutely. Does it need me to survive? Absolutely not. And they're like, listen, man, outside of what the country needs, it's hard out there. It's hard to get jobs. You have job security here. You have three meals, three hots and a cot. That's what they would say. And I'd be like, listen, I understand that. And they were trying to convince me to stay there because outside was hard. But a lot of these people in the military had never had real jobs before. They go in at 18, 19, however old, and they stayed there forever. They had their health care, they had their insurance, they had anything. So it's hard for them to go and see what it's like on the outside because they'd really never been on the outside. And then 2017, I was in college. It's doing pretty well, but I had a job on the side of just carrying this guy's bag full of tools and drills. He was an IT guy. He put up wires and stuff for people and gave them internet, gave them security cameras. And then he went to a place one day, it was a bunch of numbers on the board. And my autistic mind was just like, what are all these numbers? And he's like, I don't know, they sell money. I was like, sell money? What? What? So I got a meeting with the CEO at the time, Dan Hardwick. You've seen him on the podcast. He's one of my he's a brother. And I love him. And I would not be where I am today without him. And everyone that I got a job with them in the summer. I finished my first semester of college. I made the dean's list. Now, granted, it was a community college, so it's probably not that hard to make the dean's list. Probably pretty easy because there's some people in my college that like couldn't freaking read, so not really that hard. Not a big accomplishment, I think. And I got this job, and they're like, why don't you get a normal job? Like, what are you doing? Like trying to sell money?" And it wasn't that. It was just getting people to take loans, and they were high risk. So it was expensive money. You borrow $10,000. Well, the interest rate is 24.99%. That's an insane interest rate. But and why that number? Well, 25% was usury charges, so we couldn't go to that. But it was these people that couldn't get money at a bank because they had less credit. And again, people were saying like, "You're not going to make money with this. It's commission based only." And I wound up making a lot of money with it. So much so that I was not going to go back to college. And they were like, "Listen, you might have had 1 or 2 good months. Doesn't matter. You're not going to make it. Like, this is not something that's good for the long term. You can't keep this up." And I did. And then in 2018, when my appendix exploded, well, when my liver was shot, and I thought I was going to lose like my liver. I thought I was going to die, but I didn't. Started buying some Pokemon cards. I was like, well, if I'm going to die, I'm going to buy some of these Pokemon cards that didn't have when I was younger. And then my appendix exploded. They're like, "Listen, dude, you're losing like an average of one organ every quarter. You shouldn't be wasting your money on children's cardboard. This is stupid. You're finally making some money and you're wasting it on this piece of paper. It's not worth it." And then I had said like, "Okay, well, I like it and I think they're undervalued." And like, "Well, why is it undervalued?" Like, "Well, it's because Pokemon cards received a big boon in 2016 with Pokemon Go, and then it died. Like in like 2017, 2018, when I was buying these cards, all these cards that went up to here suddenly going down. And then it's just like, okay, well, why are they going down? Like because it had a boon, it had a high, but again, in Pokemon, it's not a bull market or bear market. It's a buyer's market versus seller's market. And at that time, it's a buyer's market because everyone was selling. I was like, well, Pokemon still has the anime that's going. It still has the manga that's going. They're still coming out with new games. Like this is not something that's just hitting because it's nostalgic. It's something that still continuously has new things today. Because I think these are undervalued. A lot of the like nobody was talking about Pokemon cards in a investment type of way. It was just people that liked them. And then I'm like, fine, do whatever you want. And then 2020 for 2019, 2020, Tesla was going up. And people were like, it's overvalued. And then I finally looked into it. I saw all of Elon Musk's interviews, read the books, and I was like, he's just like me. He's autistic as fuck. And nobody understands him because I felt that same thing. Whenever I tried to explain, like if I said something that was just out of line, or if I said something when I was younger that was just out of pocket and just didn't flow with the normative talks that people had, there was like, and there's like, "What did you just say?" I was like, "Well, I said this for this reason, X, Y, and Z." And as I was explaining myself, people would say like, "You're digging a deeper hole for yourself. You're just like, no, no, just admit you were wrong." I was like, "No, I wasn't wrong. I'm trying to explain why I'm right." And they wouldn't hear it. And then I saw the same exact thing from Elon Musk, and I was like, "Okay, he thinks just like me, and I understand what he's doing. I understand all these things." And it's like, I'm this company's super undervalued. And I started buying a bunch of Tesla stock, and everyone was just like, "Hey, listen, I understand that he might be kind of smart because he does certain things, but the cars go on fire, and he's like bipolar. He has these issues, and it's just not a good look for the company. He's not the norm for a CEO. The CEO is supposed to be like this, and Elon Musk is like this." And I said, like, "Well, you're right, but I like that he's like this. That sets him apart. That means he's different. That means he's smarter." And everyone's like, "Listen, you made some money with Pokemon cards, and you're trying to buy Tesla now. Like, you think you're a stock guru? Like, like you got lucky with these Pokemon cards." that they didn't lose any value. And as this is going on, I buy some Tesla. At the time, it was like $900 a share. And then the pandemic hit, they went down to like $300 a share. And I'm like, see. And they were saying that it was going down because of the CEO. There was it saying down because of the Teslas caught on fire, because they had processing issues at their plants. They couldn't make them quick enough. I was like, no. It's going down because everything's going down because of the pandemic. And this is when the bad stuff happened. I had said that, listen, in early 2020, I had taken my high risk lending gains that I was getting every week. I'd saved up. I'd not put and I put like $30-ish thousand into Pokemon cards. And then in March, the pandemic hit and every business shut down. My high risk lending business lost a couple $100,000 because those people, they were not able to work, and any money that they had, they were using to pay their mortgage, to pay their bills, put food on the table. They were not paying their loans. I couldn't really argue with that. And I thought, okay, well, that business is done. Maybe I can focus on the Pokemon business, but nobody's going to buy Pokemon cards. Well, the entire country shut down. The world is shut down. However, Einstein once said that there are two things I'm pretty sure of that's happening, that the universe is infinite. Like, there are two things that are infinite: the universe and human stupidity. But I'm not really sure about the universe. And everyone that was getting those $1,200 checks, there was a couple of businesses that were booming. Veterinary medicine, because I was living with my friend Mark at the time, who was a veterinarian. And I said, bro, we're busier than ever. People are home and they're recognizing that their pet is doing this, they're doing X, Y, and Z. They're busier than ever. The other thing that was happening is that these people, maybe they were living at home, maybe they had bachelor pads, whatever it was, they were spending their money on Pokemon cards. And all of the cards I bought in 2018, 2019, first edition PSA 10s, they had done like a 6x. I was like, what? And I noticed this pattern. Whenever anybody got into Pokemon, they would buy the stuff that they grew up with as a kid. They were my age. They grew up with Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle. They were a couple years older. They grew up with Totodile, Chikorita, and Cyndaquil and their evolved forms. They grew up past that. They were in the Ruby and Sapphire age. But after they collected what they grew up with, the money flowed into trophy cards. I was like, listen, these cards that I had that people grew up with did a 6x, and the trophy cards did not move at all. I was like, okay, well, this is bananas. I see that these cards moved up, and the pattern is that they will flow into trophy cards. And I sold a lot of my stuff, and I bought a trophy Kangaskhan PSA 10 for $80,000. Everyone and their sister said that I was fucking retarded. Everyone and their sister said, like, you're stupid. This is the dumbest move ever. You could put a down payment on a house. I had somebody offer me their house for that trophy Kangaskhan that I had had. And I was like, no. So I bought that trophy Kangaskhan for $80,000. People stopped talking to me. Even people in the Pokemon community said nobody's ever paid that much for a card. That card, that's too much. You're not going to be able to. That's a dumb idea. And again, that's people in the Pokemon community. And I said, well, this is undervalued for X, Y, and Z. Nobody believed me. And 1 year later, I sold that card for $279,000. Nobody in the Pokemon community laughed at me then. They was like, you know what? It's a great job. And to this day, I still have the highest sale of that card. There was other sales for 225, 185, up in between. And as Omi and VV and everything goes up, I'll go in and get that. But this is all to tell you that if you're on the cutting edge of technology and you know what's coming, most people are not going to understand that. Like I was with a couple people this weekend that they understand marriage and maybe love, but they don't understand the multiple people of the opposite sex. Like women get that all the time. Women get that, like, okay, yeah, every guy is, they want me for why. But a lot of time guys do not understand that unless they're like a celebrity or they're super good looking or they're a high value man in a certain community. So again, I'm saying all this and I promise I'll get to the comments right away. If anyone from the older generation, like 20 years or older, tells you something, there's a decent chance that what they learned and the wisdom that they're trying to pass on to you is outdated. There's a episode of Scrubs where Bob Kelso talks to someone and he says, like, do you know why I go to these continuing educations in these places where the rooms smell of last night's prom vomit? It's not because I enjoy it. It's because of all of these new kids that graduate from college. 4 years after they graduate, 50% of what they learned is obsolete. And I do this to stay relevant. It is always important to see what the youth does. It's always important to see where technology is going and what's going to be relevant in the next 5 or 10 years. So again, I'm going over that because I should, and also I have to get the comments now. So Chago Solo says, "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Chago Solis. Whatever you're drinking, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a good one." Bill Gardner says, "Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, Bill Gardner. Planet Vampires. Merry Christmas, my man." He's always, "Yo, Merry Christmas, everybody." Shout out to everyone that is messaging me. It's been a long couple of been a long year, but yes, shout out to everyone that's been messaging me. Which is Randy, I have a clip to send you. Well, send it, oh Millie Tees. Have you sent that to me already? I don't think you have. I don't think you have. So I will go to your X and I will message send it and see what you say. So Merry Christmas, Randy, and all, Mr. MC1. Thank you for being such an amazing light for the community, such an amazing partner for me. For those of you that don't know, Mr. MC1 bought 10% of my channel like 8 months ago, 6 months, however long it was, for $10,000, meaning that my channel was worth 100K. And people were like, oh, that's crazy. But he's gotten back like half of his investment in the last like 5 or 6 months. So he'll get back the rest of the half of his investment. Like he'll get back his entirety of his investment in a year, and now the channel has doubled from where it was. So he made a fantastic investment. Omar saying, "Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, Harry, Happy Christmas, Ron, Mr. Omar." Dario says, "Shoot the glass." Die Hard, right? Die Hard. Yeah, shoot the glass. Omar says, "I bought some more Definity today. The East Gas preach for the Definity buys." Here's number Omar says, "Merry Christmas, yo." Yep. Tiama says, "Little creepy broski, you should go back to your old look from the beginning when you were going to get your Cybertruck." Well, the Cybertruck will still happen. Unfortunately, when I went to buy it and it was like $69,000. Everyone come at nice down below the 69, but now it's worth like 90 something thousand dollars, and it's too much to put into a car when you could use that money for something else. So I'll get it next year, but it's not going to be right now. You're super smart in finance. You should go to school for finance or something. Well, school is different because school is it indoctrinates a lot of people, one to the very far left And don't get me wrong, like I've said before, I'm an old school lefty. I believe that if you are trying and you fall, on your back, like if you fall down, like the government should be able to help you out. Unfortunately, a lot of people take advantage. I would be for universal basic income if people were better and they wouldn't take advantage, but unfortunately they do. But again, outside of that, listen, I'm going to sound not good here. Anything I wanted to learn, I could learn. I wouldn't need school for it. No, don't get me wrong. My friend, so I'm very good at math. Most people, I think, are actually bad at math. Like most people in general are just like, can't do math. And I happen to be decent or good at it. I remember one time, like 3 years ago, I was in the Poconos with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we were with a few friends. And we were counting out something. They were playing like rummy or whatever, and they were kind of like, okay, you have this plus this plus this plus this, and they're going on. And I was like, 172, because my one person was counting what they had, and one person had a calculator, and it wasn't hard math. It was like 8 plus 12 plus 8 plus 5 plus, and I was just doing it in my head because they're small numbers. And when he said the last number, like plus 8, and I was like 162, 170, like whatever it was. And my other friend goes like, and I was like, what? And he's like, that's right. I was like, yeah, I heard him and, just did it. And he's like, no, like that's right. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's like simple math. And he was just like, and I was like, bro, what? He's like, how do you do that in your head? And I was like, it's like I did magic. And I was like, bro, so long story short, what I'm trying to say is that I'm better than most of the world at math. But I also know, like my friend Michael Cascetta, granted he went to Harvard, he's very smart. I can multiply 2 digits in my head. Sometimes he can multiply 4 digits by 4 digits in his head. I cannot do that. I would need I would need, like, I could do it pen and paper, no problem, but I could do it in my head. It would take me a long time. He was like, "Oh, this." And I was like, "Okay, that's fast." So, um, I don't know if I'd really cut it at Harvard or Yale, like any of the Ivy League schools, although I do make more than some of my friends that went to those Ivy League schools. They went for different reasons. Um, a lot of people in finance are just like, "Oh, yeah, buy the VOO, buy the SPY, the S&P 500." That's what, and they're not wrong. If you go in and put 20% of your paycheck into the VOO and the SPY, you won't lose money on it. You might keep up with the rate of inflation, and it's a decent savings account, but that's not the best way to make money anymore. I remember Dr. Cox in one episode of Scrubs. I feel like I've been bringing up Scrubs a lot. I haven't seen that in years, but he says, like, listen, Bob, you're like a appendix of the body. You might have served some purpose long ago, but it was so long ago that no one even remembers what that was anymore. And a lot of these people are preaching this old school stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense anymore. It might have done well 40 years ago, 30 years ago, but now you're old. It's like, if anyone's ever seen the movie Moneyball, Billy Bean had this new system of, doesn't matter how much money you spend, how much star power they have, how often do they get on base? And legit, like 2 years after that happened, anyone that was using the old school way of trying to raise a baseball team, they were dinosaurs. If you're following the Warren Buffett sign of like, find a company with the last few puffs of a cigarette, you're a dinosaur. You've been a dinosaur for years. Crypto has been like, good parts of crypto have been the only way to make real gains of like 10x, 30x, sometimes 100x. You will see later in 2025. It was Merry Christmas, Randy and Vivi fam. Cheers. Is 109 the day? Oh, it's January 9th, the day of Doge. It might be. We don't know. Just might be the next best thing, but not quite me. How's it go? But on the sun, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, son. Thank you for being here. Are you a nomad slash gypsy? Um, well, let me look up the exact Webster definition for nomad and gypsy, and then we'll see where it goes. What is a nomad? Nomad is a member of people having no permanent abode who travel from place to place to find fresh pasture for their livestock. That's possible that I would say a nomad is a decent description. A gypsy says a member of people originating in South Asia and traditionally having an itinerant way of life, living widely dispersed across Europe and North and South America, and speaking a language, Romani, that is related to Hindi. I would say that nomad is more appropriate than gypsy. But yeah, I tend to go in and try to be in the best place that's for me, and that changes every now and then. I don't know what sounds like a scammer. I'm gonna have to go back 21 minutes for that. Comparing yourself to Elon Musk? No. Um, I would not compare myself to Elon Musk because, as I said before, I am a step or two below the people in Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Salisbury, all that. And Elon Musk is likely 2 or 3 steps ahead of them. So no, the only way I would compare myself is in the way that we work and our minds work. And maybe our minds work at maybe mine works at like 30 or 40% efficiency and his works at like 80% efficiency. I wouldn't compare myself to him. I would just say that our brain works in certain ways and I'm just on that path, but he can do that path so incredibly well. And I'm just like, just a normal person. How about alien drones? Um, so people say like if somebody were says like, dude, I just saw a UFO, most people would say like, no, you didn't. You didn't see a UFO. You didn't see aliens. And it's like, well, he didn't. This person didn't say that they saw aliens. He just said he saw a UFO. He just said he saw something that's an unidentified flying object, meaning that he didn't know what it was. The UFO doesn't necessarily mean aliens. It just means he saw an aircraft, something that was flying around, and he couldn't identify what it was. I'm going to say that 80% of those people that saw a UFO, if somebody had said like, hey, based on your description, you most likely saw this. Like I said, 80, 90% of those people would be like, oh, okay, you're right. It's probably military, whatever it was. Just because it's unidentified doesn't mean that it's aliens. It just means that it might be a new aircraft from the military that hasn't been disclosed to the populace yet. That being said, I believe that some of these unmanned aerial phenomena or UAPs, which like Nancy Mace, shout out to her, love her, she had asked Congress about that, and they had said the pilots of these aircraft are non-human biologicals. Well, let's break that down. Non-human, like they're not human. Biologicals, meaning that okay, they're not human, but they're not like robots. They are biological. Should mean that they're aliens. And if any aliens are looking at me, I will do relatively whatever you want. Just fix my back, fix my knees, fix my hips, fix everything, fix my shoulders. I abduct me, do whatever you want to me, but fix those things, and I will give you mostly whatever. But I'm still Team Earth, mostly. While Mama says, was chatting with Johnny Dunn about the Trophy Canvas Come card sale. Hold on, yeah, no, that is the highest record for that sale, and I will buy it back at some point. My comes Merry Christmas, my family. God bless you all. We've come a long way since the fridge days. We have multiple good days upon us. I'll be back home tomorrow night. I might stream, I might not. I'll keep you posted. This night says, Randy, what whiskey are you drinking? I'm drinking some Screwball, which is peanut butter whiskey. And those are very good. Thoroughly enjoy those. The new Cybertruck will start around 60K. Wait a year. Maybe I will. I still have both of my reservations, one of which was going to go to a friend of mine, and the other one I would take next year, but maybe. Maybe I could wait a year. We'll see. Chris Knight also says, anyone following Mr. Miguel's on base.com just launched, hopefully follows what Mr. Miggles is doing on Base, eventually Coinbase. Might be the next best thing, but not quite me. How's it go? Shady as I'm. All right, sorry. Oh shoot! I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. I love this photo. It says, "If we lose, we get baptized, and if they lose, they go out drinking with us." That is what Christmas is all about. Jeremy Padower says, "I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them." Quote from Andy from The Office. And I give out a photo, and the photo is from Watchmen, and it says, "Every day the future looks a little bit darker, but the past, even the grimy parts of it, keep on getting brighter." And that is from the Watchmen. Love that quote. Asa or Kaki Gaijin says, to vastly improve user experience, do these 3 things. I promise they're worth it. Make this a hyperlink to the marketplace for bonus points if default lowest price listing, talking about the lower price. Agreed 100% with that. And says, adds a gallery showroom empty space for the empty space. And then choose a collectible saying you cannot scroll through the collection in your vault. The feed says the unique users for December 25th were 665,874. The active wallets on Vivi, 492 sellers, 501 buyers, 261 minters. The feed says top 4 selling secondary market brands were the Fishes were number 1. Disney Bambi collection was number 2. The Marvel Mighties was number 3. They had 69 sales. Everyone comment nice down below with 69. And number 4 was a Vivi Christmas with the Christmas trees. We had a lot less people than we did have the other day when we had like 28,000 people. The feed says top 4 selling collectibles and comics were The Boys, number 1, Amazing Spider-Man, number 29, The Sealed Thought of Greed is number 3, and Uncanny X-Force is number 4. But that was great. Bill Gardner, give me those dabs. Give me your tears, gypsy. You were such a card, Bill Gardner. You were such a card. The new lotto is down for like 1.15 billion, give or take. I commented on my friend Lou's at All Hearts. He says, I've seen you jump the gun and sent me money already earlier today, you and Daniel, talking about Daniel Hardwick. I says, I'm ready for this. Basically saying that me and a few friends, we pool our money together. Every time Mega Millions is worth like a couple hundred million, now it's worth over $1 billion. Obviously, when you go in and get the, what's that called? What you get after taxes, it's probably going to be like 500 million, half a billion, whatever. Even if I get 1% of that, 5 million, I'm fine. That's fine. I'll probably get a little bit more, but I'll be fine. Combat Melody says, Merry Christmas, Randy. Happy Christmas, Combat. Chris Knight is laughing. Give me those laugh emojis over on X. Thank you so much. Some guy, all the same name as you. Okay, so here's something. Somebody's saying, like, I met a handsome guy who had the same name as my younger brother, and all attraction vanished. What would you do? Because in this particular thing, this brother had met his sister is in the green, and his wife is in the white, and they look very similar. I would never, but apparently some people do. Anyway, did you try your luck on the Boys comic drop? I did not, because it was sold out by the time I got there. You plan on watching the new Squid Games at some point? Sure. I watched the first one, so I might as well watch the second one. I haven't yet, though. I'll keep you posted. Do you play Mega Millions? Yes. I just sent my friend Lou money. I'll go in and I'll get 5% of the next Mega Millions after five, or maybe 10%. So I'd maybe make $5 million, give or take, whatever. Well, actually, 500 million, I would get 50 million. So 1% would be 5. So maybe 10 million. Yeah, yeah, sure. And then I promise if that happens, I will pump the price. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone says, where's Dashy? Dashy, maybe tomorrow. We shall see. I love you all. Class dismissed. Goodbye, guys. Meow, meow.